Be'ezrat Hashem, in a week and a half, we're going to celebrate the holiday of Shavuot. And in the Torah, this is called Chag Matan Torah. It's the day that we're receiving the Torah. Last week we had a lecture explaining what does it mean, Chag Matan Torah. And today I want to talk about what happens on the night of Shavuot and what do I need to focus on and what do I need to be prepared to. Because the reality of the world changed when the Torah came down to the world. Up until that day, the world had a certain reality, a certain metziut. And on the day of Matan Torah, the reality completely changed. And up until today, on the day of Matan Torah, we are affected by this change. And the Arizal says, in the book called Shara Kavanot, he says that the most powerful day, or not the most powerful, the hashpa'ah, the abundance, the shefa, the inspiration that comes the night of Shavuot is a very unique shefa. It's a very unique power that comes down to the world. Not necessarily, I correct myself, not necessarily the most special, because there is an argument, because some say that Pesach, the He'ara, is much greater, because on Pesach, on Leil Seder, the light, the godly revelation that comes down to the world comes from above descending chain, what's called above Seder Ishtalshelut, and on Shavuot it comes from the light of the Keter, of Sfira of Keter. So one can maybe argue which one is greater, but we're not going to argue right now. But we want to know that based on the teachings of the Arizal, that on the night of Shavuot comes down a very, very special godly light, Ha'ara Elokit, and the Hashpa'ah, how it influences us, how it affects us, comes from the source of the sources, which is called Keter de Keter, the highest Sfira, and that's what shines on that night. Now what really happens that night? It's called Sod HaKeter HaElyon, the secret of the supreme crown is being revealed. And we know that there's everything, there's what's called a chitzoniyut, an external part, and there's an internal part. So a crown is keter, and a crown, sits on the head, and it surrounds the head. So the sphira, the sphira of keter, it can come in a way of what's called chitzoniyut keter and pnimiyut keter, the external and the internal. But in the sphira of keter, there's also two madrigot, two levels, a keter that is what's called tachton, and there's also a keter elyon, a higher level. On the night of Shavuot, the keter elyon is being revealed. This is what's called Shar Anun. That now we're counting 49 days. We're counting, so to say, 49 gates. And we don't count the 50th day. We mentioned that in one of the previous classes, that the Torah says that we have to count 50 days, but really we only count 49 days. And that is because we count 49 days, the 50th gate is just given to us. This is given to us as a present. This is Matan Torah. The 50th gate, Shar Anun, is just given to us. And this is what's given to us on the night of Shavuot. When exactly is it given? In the moment of the day that is called Alot HaShachar, which is about 5-6 in the morning, depending where you are in the world. But in Alot HaShachar, when it's dawn, when the light starts coming obvious, this is when the gate of Shar Anun, the 50th gate, opens, and that's when this abundance of light comes down to the world. That's why we stay up all night, not necessarily to commemorate the fact that with the night before they got the Torah, everybody fell asleep. So we're not doing necessarily the tikkun of staying up. Rather, we're refining ourselves, we're preparing ourselves for this moment that the 50th gate, Shar Anun, opens, in Alot HaShachar, when dawn comes up, and that's when this shefa, this light from the Keter Elyon, it shines down to the world. So we stay up all night, and we have a custom that mamash before nets, we go to the mikveh, and we do 5 tevilot. I mean, women don't do it, we do it for you. But the men go to the mikveh and they do 5 times the dankin. There's a reason why you do 5. But I want to be prepared for that. I want to be prepared for this godly.
Women should stay up all night too?
They don't have to, but it's highly suggested that women should stay up too. I mean, if they have kids and the next day they have to attend the kids and be with them in the morning, then it's not so applicable. But a woman that doesn't have kids, or the kids are already grown up, or she's not married, or any situation that she doesn't have to take care of the kids, it's not obligation, but it's highly, highly, highly recommended that she would stay up. She can also learn Torah, and she can also enjoy that beautiful light that shines at that time.
How about being awake, like at the time of the light video?
Being awake when the light comes down? I mean, you can wake up early in the morning. If you have to go to sleep, or it's hard for you to stay up, then at least you should make a very big effort to wake up at 5 in the morning and to either pray in nets very early in the morning, or at least to be up that time and learn some Torah. Because that's when the 50th gate opens. Sha'ar Hanun opens in Alot HaShachar. So if you can stay up all night, we stay up all night. Last year we did it too. We had a lot of women. After the meal, we learned Torah the whole night. I don't know if you were with us last year, but we're going to have the same thing this year. We're going to have a meal, and after the meal we all stay up. We're going to have some classes, and maybe at 2, 3 in the morning we'll stop the classes and read the Tikkun, because it's important to read the Tikkun Leil Shavuot. And 4:45 in the morning we all go down to the mikveh of the Ari, and we men, you don't join us. And here what we do is we go to the shul of the Abuhav, because they take out on Shavuot the Sefer Torah of the Abuhav and the Arizal. So it's a very special day. We did it last year. We pray their nets. They pray about 5 in the morning. And it's great because 7:38 you're home already. You're done. Go to bed. Go to sleep. But the Rabbi of Tzfat is there, Rabbi Rav Eliyahu. It's a very special.
When do you listen to the Quran?
Then.
When?
Well, if you join us to that shul, they read about 6:30 in the morning, 6:45. You can find out exactly. But that's for the ones who want to stay up, and they can stay up, and it's great. The Arizal says, based on the Zohar, that whoever stays up that night, the entire night, muftach lo sheyashlim shnato. He's guaranteed that he's going to fulfill the days of this year. This is a very serious promise. This is said in the Zohar, and the Arizal emphasizes. He says, "Muftach lo sheyashlim shnato." This is not a joke. The same way the Arizal says that on the holiday of Pesach, if somebody the entire week of Pesach is 100% particular, super strict on that week, Muvtach lo shelo yecheta kol hashana. He's guaranteed that he's not going to sin the entire year. So when the Arizal gives a promise, that's a promise. Of course, it's guaranteed that you're not going to do a sin b'shogeg, by mistake, not deliberately. But this is also a big thing. So Arizal says, if you stay up all night, you're guaranteed that you're going to Muvtach lo sheyashlim shloto, means that he's going to fill the days of his life are going to be fulfilled that year. That if it's in his due date to leave this year the world, then nothing's going to change that. But sometimes people, they do certain acts, and they get a decree from Shamayim, what's called Mita b'dei Shamayim, and a person leaves the world before their time. So the Arizal says this is a remedy to have a long life and to live this year. But more than that, that whatever he's supposed to do in his Avodat Hashem is going to be assisted from above. There's going to be a lot of Seyata Dishmaya. I explained last class that the night of Shavuot determines my connection to the Torah for the entire year. So on Rosh Hashanah, we will determine my entire year, how much money I'm going to make, if I'm going to get married or not, if I'm going to have kids, if I'm going to live or die, and so forth. On the night of Shavuot is determined my connection to the Torah the entire year. How much connection I'm going to have to the Torah, how much hours I'm going to learn Torah, how many mitzvahs I'm going to do, how easy it will be for me to learn Torah and fulfill the mitzvot. That is determined on the night of Shavuot. So I want to make sure that that night I'm investing as much of Torah learning, so the decision of how much connection I will have for the Torah for the entire year was going to be a good one. So it is recommended for anyone to stay up if they can, and if they can, then go to sleep after the meal and wake up early that day, wake up at 5 in the morning, and if you don't want to pray so early, then read Tehillim, do whatever you need to do, but it is such an auspicious time. I'm telling you, the last year when we were here in Tzfat, it was so magical, it was such a powerful energy. 5 o'clock in the morning, we were like 20 guys, we went down together to the mikveh. One guy was the first time he ever went to the mikveh. He was like floating in a different universe. It was such a powerful night, and you feel it and you see it, and it's a shame not to take advantage of that. One night you don't sleep so much. Rest in the afternoon. It's not the end of the day. End of the world. Yeah, have a lot of coffee and everything will be fine. So the point is that I want to take advantage of that night. In Alot HaShachar, when the dawn starts, when the sun starts shining, it starts coming up, that's when the 50th gate opens. And there's a certain Mikubal, sorry, his name is Rabbi Shalom Mizrahi Sharabi. He's known as the Rashash. He's a very big Mikubal. And he explains that in that moment of the day, we are getting 363 crowns. What are these crowns? Because the light that comes from Sfirat HaKeter. What are these crowns? A Keter is explained that is all my retzonot, my desire and my will, and kisufim. Kisufim is the strong urges to be close to the Kadosh Baruch Hu and to do good things. All my good intentions. Sometimes I don't feel like it. Somebody knocks on my door and asks for help. I don't feel like it. I try to say any excuse just to get out of it. But sometimes out of the blue, I have this unbelievable urge that I want to help somebody. And I want to do the right thing. How many times you are in a situation and you know that you have the opportunity now to do whatever you want to do or the right thing to do. And you're like, you bite your lips and you're like, I want to do this. That's what I want to do right now, but it's not the right thing to do. And you end up doing the right thing. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're like, I can't take it. I don't care. You close your eyes. You ignore the right thing to do. You come up with all the excuses why it's okay not to do the right thing. You give yourself a discount and you move on. That's not what we want to do. But sometimes you want to do a certain thing and you end up choosing the right thing to do and you say, that's the right thing to do. How many times you have that compared to how many times you have doing the wrong thing? The desire, the will to do the right thing, to help another person, to be closer to Hashem, this desire is called Retzonot v'Kisufim. Retzonot is my desire, Kisufim is this strong urge to do something good. This comes from Sfirat HaKeter, from He'ara, from a shine, from an inspiration that comes from Keter. That's it. That's the simple explanation. When I get 363 crowns in that few hours in the morning, that allows me to the rest of the year to carry this charge, this energy that I will always overpower to do the right thing. Just imagine what type of cargo you're taking for the rest of the year, to allow you that in every situation your decision will be to do the right thing. This comes from He'arat HaKeter. Okay, I'm talking very general things here, I'm not going into too many details. Now, we know that there are 4 angles, so to say, what's called Arba Bechinot HaKeter. 4 ways that the Keter can present or reflect. We're going to go through some of them because we want to see how it relates to us. Everything in the spiritual world that manifests into the world is built on 3 lines, what's called Shlosha Kavim. We explained it more in depth last Thursday when we learned about Shavuot, about these 3 lines. But everything is built on these 3 pillars. If you're looking at what the oral Torah says, Ha'olam omed al 3 amudim, the world is standing on 3 pillars, Torah, Avodah, V'gemilut Chasadim, Torah, praying, learning Torah, praying, and charitable acts. These are the pillars that the world is standing on. But the mystical teachings of Kabbalah and Hasidut explains that the world stands on Shlosha Kavim, 3 lines. Kav HaYemin, the line of the right, Kav HaSmol, and Kav HaEmtza, the right side, the left side, and the middle side. If you look at the structure of the Sfirot, there's always going to be the right side, there's going to be the left side, there's going to be the middle. So these are the 3 Kavim. Now, Tzad HaSmol, the left line, which usually corresponds to something more negative, but this comes from the Keter, so the Keter will have 3 lines also. I'm not talking right now of the Sfirot, talking about the Keter. The Keter also have 3 lines. The Kav HaSmol of the Keter, the Rabbi from Kamarna explains, this is the desire to learn Torah. And this is what's called in the term, the Kabbalistic term, Ima Ila'ah. This corresponds to the sphere of Bina, because it's Kav HaSmol, the Bina comes from the left side. This line of Sfirat HaKeter will allow the person to have the desire to learn Torah. Anytime you have a desire to learn Torah, 3 o'clock in the morning, you can't fall asleep. Instead of going to Facebook, you open a book and you start learning. You have a desire to learn Torah that comes from this left side of the Keter. The right side of the Keter, Kav Yemin, the Ari explains that this allows me and inspires me to be close to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That I want to be close to Hashem. Sometimes I have in the middle of nowhere, pitom I have this desire to do a mitzvah to be close to Hashem. I want to pray, pitom. I feel this closeness. This comes from the Tzad Yemin. This is called in the Kabbalistic term Abba. And this will correspond to the sphere of Chokhmah. This is the right side. Now, what is this Abba and Ima? Abba is a father and Ima is a mother. In the Kabbalah, the Sphira of Chokhmah is called Abba, and the Sphira of Bina is called Ima. But what is this Ima and Abba? Why is it called father and mother? Because in this world, in order for me to give birth to something, for a child, then has to be a mother and a father. It's not like now they're trying to make these same gender weddings. 2 mothers, 2 fathers. This is distorting the rules of the universe. But the rules of the universe, in order for it to be a child, has to be a father, has to be a mother, has to be relations. They have to be connected. This is what's called a zivug, a yichud, a unity. They have to come together. If the mother and the father will not come together, there'll never be a child. That's how it works. So this also works the exact same way in the spiritual world. It doesn't. What happens in the physical world is a manifestation from the spiritual world. Meaning that in the spiritual world, in order to birth a midah, has to be a yichud, has to be a unity between the midot elionot, between the chokhmah and the bina, between the father and the mother. That's the easiest way to explain it. And when the father and the mother get united, when there's a yichud, then they can birth now a child. In the physical world. In the physical world, it will be a child. Amazingly, you will take a child in this world. Usually, what would be the first words that the child says in this world? Abba. Abba, Ima. That's usually the first words that a child says. It's an American child, it's in mommy, or dada. But usually the first words of a child will be Abba and Ima. Especially you speak to them Hebrew all the time. It's very easy to say Abba. It's two letters, one after the other, or Ima. It's the Havara, it's very simple. But why does the child say that? Because the child, not because it's easy to say. You look at it, it's universal. In any country, they'll say the mama, abba, or dada, whatever it is. People will attribute it because, they're connected to their parents. That's what they hear. But really, the child, a few months before that, was in the stomach of the mother. He learned Torah from the angel. He knows all the Torah. Now he's out of the womb. He doesn't have Torah anymore. He needs this connection to the Sfirot. He needs this connection to the Abba, the Ima Ilah. So that's the words that come out of his mouth. Abba, Ima. He wants the connection. More than that, the child still doesn't have Dat, and he's still connected to what's called Dat Elyon. So he's still connected to the high Sfirot. So we see that from the two lines, from the Shtei Kavim, Yamin and Small, we get 242 crowns. 121 crowns from Ima, 121 crowns from Abba. Making it together 242. Like I told you, the Rashash, he explains that we have 363 Ktarim. Why do we have Dafka, the 121 from the mother and the father? Because there has to be what's called Izun. Between the two Sfirot has to be a balance between the father and the mother. And this comes down to this world, that when there's no balance between two sides, then the result will be unbalanced. That's the problem in our generation with Shlom Bayit, with marital problems, is there's no balance. It has to be balanced, and then there's no problems. What happens is usually in problems of Shlom Bayit is one will be more dominating, so it's not balanced, or the other one will go and become more dominating, whatever it's going to be. When there's no balance between both the father and the mother, there's not going to be Shlom Bayit. Shlom Bayit is the peace. Same thing in the Sfirot above. It has to be straight and balanced. And since the Ima is the learning Torah and the Abba is the desire to be close to Hashem, has to be a very good balance even in that. Even in my Avodat Hashem, has to be a good balance between how much hours a day I learn and how much hours a day I do my Avodat Hashem, praying and mitzvot and getting closer to Hashem. Now, the middle line, this is called Kav HaEmtza, and this is called, in the Kabbalistic term, Sod Da'at HaElyona. There is a Da'at. If you go by the Sfirot, there's Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. But there's two levels in the Da'at. Da'at Elyona, a higher level Da'at, and a lower level Da'at. This is brought down in the book of the Arizal, of the book of Etz Chaim. And he explains that the Sfira of Da'at connects two opposites. Da'at mechaberet shte nigudim. The Sfira of Da'at will come and will connect two opposites together. And this is marriage, basically. Two opposites, different genders, different opinions, different backgrounds, everything is different. And the Da'at comes to connect them together. This is the job of Sfirat HaDa'at. But we only operate in what's called Da'at Tachtona. We don't operate in Da'at Elyona. Very few people are able to reach into the Da'at Elyon. We operate in a very low level Da'at. It's called Da'at Tachtona. And this is basically what causes all the disagreements. We just spoke before we started the class about the separation of the groups and the disagreements, and in the shul and the nosach. That's what causes the disagreement. The first time that we met the concept of Da'at, it says in the Torah, in Sefer Bereshit, Va'adam yada et Chava. In order for Adam to relate to her, to Chava, then Hashem put the Da'at between them. This is called Va'adam yada et Chava. That he had to reach out to her and to bridge, so to say, between Adam and Chava. So, to make a very long story short, unfortunately, in our nation, there's a lot of machlokot. There's a lot of disagreements. We just spoke about it in the class before, how we have the tribes and how there's constantly arguments between the groups. And I mentioned to you that sometimes a group will argue because how the hat is. One group wears the hat when the front is going down, and one group would wear the hat if the front is going up. That's it. That's a cause of a fight. And one person dips the cracker in the herring, another one dips it in something else. That's a machloket. There's always machlokot between the groups, and even in the group. In every group there's going to be machlokot. Like I told you that I used to go to this shul. It was the same shul, a Sephardi shul, but there was inside, one was Moroccan, one was Persian, one was Iraqi. It was arguments between them. How you say they pronounce the word. So unfortunately in our nation, I don't know how it was generations before, I can testify to our generation, there's constantly arguments. Arguments and disagreements and fights. This is all caused because of one thing. It's called tzimtzum. Tzimtzum is a contraction. When there's a contraction, there's a tzimtzum, then the light is not revealed the right way, and there's a mechloket, there's an argument. If there's no tzimtzum, everything is revealed the right way, there won't be any argument. When Mashiach is going to come, there's not going to be arguments. There's not going to be who's better than the others, Sfaradi, Ashkenazi. Mashiach is going to come, and that's it. He's going to leachriya, so to say. Leachriya is to, that's it. There's not going to be an argument. There's not going to be any disagreement, because there's not going to be a tzimtzum anymore. So the cause of the arguments, the cause of the machlokot is as a result of a tzimtzum, siluka, or what it is called. And this comes only because there's no revelation of the Da'at Elyonah. There's no revelation, the tzimtzum affects it in such a way that the he'ara that we have is the Da'at Tachtona. Tachtona is below, Elyonah is above. This is it. That's basically what it boils down to. Now, this is one type of machloket that we have. Machloket is a disagreement, is we have a machloket between me and you. I say A, you say B. How they say in America, you say tomatoes, I say tomatoes. So there's a song like that, no? Is it Frank Sinatra, I think? So you say potatoes, I say potatoes. But let's call the whole thing off. That's how the song goes, right? So we have constantly machlokot, disagreements with each other. The result, like I told you, is because the Da'at Elyonah is not shining in us. So there's a concept of the arguments. Another type of machloket that we have is me on the Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is a more sophisticated machloket, a disagreement. And we find ourselves constantly having a machloket on Hashem. Why and how? When Hashem does something that I don't like. Something happens, a certain scene happens, I'm not happy with it. I disagree with Hashem. Why do I don't make money? Why this shidduch didn't work out? Why this person is sick? And I find myself having a disagreement with Hashem. I'm not happy with what Hashem just did. And this is another machloket, a type of machloket that I have, that I don't accept what Hashem did. I lost a business deal, something went wrong, or my kid doesn't listen to me, or whatever it is. I come with an argument to Hashem. Why? Just the fact that I ask Hashem why, that's a I cholek el da'ato shel Hashem. I disagree with Hashem. I think I should make $1 million. Why are you only giving me 10 shekels? I have a disagreement. And we have a lot of machlokot on the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hold on. Techef, you can ask your question. So, these are the two machlokot that I have in my life. And again, machloket is a disagreement. A, between me and another person, and me and Hashem. These are the two disagreements. But this is only a result that the Da'at Elyon, the high level Da'at, does not shine in me. The machloket between me and Hashem, that's a big machloket. Rabbi Dessler explains that any type of sadness and depression, what's called atzvut and tsar, it only is a result because I have a machloket with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. I don't agree with the way Hashem governs the world. In his words, לא מקבל את ההנהגה של הקדוש ברוך הוא. I do not accept how Hashem is running the world. I am not happy with the fact that right now I don't have money. I don't accept it. I don't accept the fact that right now, chas v'shalom, there's a sickness, or disagreement, or divorce, or whatever it is. So all the sources of sickness and sadness and depression is that I'm basically in a very refined and deep way. I don't agree with Hashem. I'm not happy with what Hashem would decide with me. You know that sometimes you see it with relations between a mother and a child, a father and a child. Not too long ago I was somewhere and there was a child, and unfortunately the child was a very overweight, a very fat child. It's sad to see it. A child should not be fat. And it was a very spoiled child, and he wanted something. There was a vending machine there. He wanted the cookie, the lolly, whatever it was there. The mother didn't want to give it to him. Oh, he made a tantrum there. He was kicking chairs, screaming, lying on the ground. He was doing a tantrum there because the mother would not give him the whatever was in the vending machine. And then he told her, I hate you. You are the worst mother in the world. And then I saw that she got very upset. And any parent has heard that from their child at least 100 times. You're the worst parent and the worst dad and the father in the world. That's what kids say. They might not mean it. 2 minutes later you'll give them a lollipop or ice cream, suddenly you're the best mother in the world. But kids say you're the worst father in the world. You're the worst mother because they didn't get what they want in the same moment. This is how we are. We don't get the lollipop, so we say to Hashem, I hate you. I don't like you. You're the worst. Why aren't you giving me what I want? And the same way that this mother didn't want to give the cookie or whatever it was for the child from the vending machine, she was right. I'm sorry to tell you, you're fat. It's not healthy. I can't give you cookies all day long. You have to go on a diet. She sees it in a very mature and rational way. He doesn't. He sees the cookie. Same way with us. Hashem says, I don't want to give you right now this. I don't want to give you right now your other half. You're going to fight with him. I don't want to give you now parnasa. You're going to gamble it. Whatever it's going to be. But we don't see it, so we accuse Hashem that he's the worst father in the world, and we don't like him at this point. So Rabbi Dessler explains that the atzvut and tsar, sadness and bitterness and all these attributes comes from the fact that I'm not happy with what Hashem is doing right now, with Hashem's decision. Like you have a court case, the judge says, I found you guilty. I'm not happy with what the judge said. I think I should have got much more. And you appeal. It all boils down, if you were present here on Thursday when we talked about the shiur of Shavuot, I told you that it all boils down to emunah, to believe. If you weren't here Thursday, then watch the video, it's online. But it all boils down to emunah, because when I have emunah, when I have 100% belief in Hashem, then I accept what Hashem does. And I'm happy with what Hashem does. I accept it. So, to summarize it, is that there are two machlokot, I said. One machloket argument is between me and you. One machloket is between me and Hashem, and then there's another machloket. That's even a worse one. And that's a disagreement between me and myself. That I disagree with myself. So I have three disagreements. And I can do a certain, what does it mean, a disagreement with myself? That I will do a certain act, and then I'm not happy with what I did, and I'm going to be hard on myself. And I'm going to start hitting myself on the head. Why did you do that? Why did you do this? Why did you listen to that? Why didn't you listen to him? And I'm going to have this argument in my mind, a disagreement with myself. I shouldn't have done that. I should have did this. So basically, it boils down to the fact that we have a lot of disagreements. Disagreement with each other, disagreement with Hashem, and disagreement with myself. This is a result only because there's a contraction, a tzimtzum. So the da'at, the godly revelation, the he'ara, the shine from the sphere of da'at does not reach to my being. Therefore, there's a tzimtzum, And a result from that is a machloket. That's why it says that a person can be a very religious person. Long beard, black hat, black suit, even though that's not what defines a person's religion. But let's say, just for the sake of the example, a person is very, very religious. But he's able to have a machloket with a different Jew that is in his group or in a different group. This is called, in the Kabbalistic term, mochin de katnot. He has mochin, he is very observant, but he's able to fight with another person from his own group about a certain detail. And this is called mochin de katnot, that he has mochin, he has intelligence, but very small, that he's able to argue with another individual. I'm talking about right now in his own group. Mochin de gadlut, that there's no disagreements, that he's accepting everybody, he accepts the argument of the other person, and he doesn't make a machloket out of it. He accepts it. He says, okay, that's your opinion, that's my opinion, good. This is what's called mochin de gadlut. When it comes to a machloket, to a disagreement, the result of the disagreement is only because the da'at ha'elyon is not shining in me. That's it, very simple. Since I have a lot of machlokot in my life, I argue with my spouse, I argue with my boss, I argue with the person who sits next to me in shul, I argue with everybody, I have machlokot with everybody. Then I have machlokot with Hashem because I'm not happy with what Hashem is doing. I think He should give me much more money per year, and I need a bigger house, 2 more cars, a better relationship with my wife, kids that listen to me, and I need much more. So I disagree with Hashem. And I have problems with myself. It all boils down from one thing. Shavuot, the night of Shavuot, is the opportunity to reach to the he'ara, to the shine of Da'at Elyon. If I stay up all night and I learn Torah, especially learn Torah, because there's a tikkun in that, there's a refinement to my neshama, then during Alot HaShachar I'm up and I'm connected to the Torah. That's when the Sha'ar Anun opens. That's when this hashpa'ah, this shefa, this inspiration comes from above, from the Da'at HaElyon. This allows me to connect to all 3 kavim. So I get, according to what the Mekubal, the Rashash says, 363 crowns. I'm basically getting 363 batteries to carry with me throughout the entire year. So I have the energy that I'm receiving on Shavuot to carry through the entire year, not to have these machlokot. To have this Da'at Elyon shine in me. So I come to a disagreement, I'm not going to make a disagreement out of it. I will listen to the other side and judge it the right way. When it comes to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, I'm not going to have a machloket on the Kadosh Baruch Hu. I will accept what Hashem does. When it comes to myself, I'll be happy with my decision. I'm not going to be hard on myself. Because the reality is that we all have constantly, on a daily basis, machlokot, disagreements. Can you study something?
And we desire something, and still not be angry at Hashem, just desire it.
If you're doing it, that there's no machloket, disagreement, or anger at Hashem, of course you can desire. There's nothing wrong to desire.
I desire, and I would like you to grant it to me.
If it's done, if it's done with no anger or with no disagreement to Hashem, it's totally fine. A person is single, they want to get married. What? They shouldn't get married. They shouldn't want to get married. They should go and pray and do whatever they need to. But they should not be upset at Hashem. Why are you not sending me my other half? So same thing with money. I want to make money. There's nothing wrong with making money. I have kids. I need to feed them, and they need clothes. They need to go to school. There's tuition. There's rent. There's mortgage. There's food. There's nothing wrong with me wanting money. But if I don't get it, I should not be upset at Hashem, or should chas v'shalom be angry at Hashem. There's nothing wrong with wanting and praying and working towards it. But you shouldn't have, I also want my wife to do all sorts of things. If she does it, great. If she doesn't, it means I have to fight with her? No. It means she has her own opinion. She is a person I should bridge and to see why is she not doing what I want. Maybe the problem is me. I don't know. So it's the same thing. I want my child to listen to me. Who says that he has to listen to me? And if he doesn't listen to me, I need to go out of my kelim, I need to freak out? No, that's a child. I need to see why is he not listening to me. Maybe he's not listening to me because the problem is in me. The point is,
should we do the same thing as Hashem? Say, oh, you don't believe me to me, let's see what I can do.
You can do that to the Kadosh Baruch Hu by saying, the thing is that you can't come with conditions to the Hashem. But if you're saying, you know, I heard not too long ago from a certain individual something very special. And she said, on Rosh Hashanah, everybody goes and prays for Hashem. I want money, I want a shidduch, I want kids, I want health. She told me that this year she didn't ask for Hashem, I want. She was asking Hashem, what do you want, Hashem? What do you tell me what you want, I'll do it. So yes, there's nothing wrong with telling to Hashem. Nobody cares at Hashem. Does anybody say to Hashem, Hashem, what do you want? Do you want Ahavat Israel? I'll go do it. I'll have Ahavat Israel. Hashem, what do you want? You want Torah? I'll learn Torah. So yes, of course you can tell to Hashem, Hashem, what do you want right now? You want me to be right now strict? Okay, I'll be strict with the laws of kashrut or whatever it is. Nobody cares of the will of Hashem. Everybody says, I want money, I want to get married, I want kids, I want health. Very few people come and say, Hashem, what do you want? So yes, of course you can say, Hashem, what do you want? And if I didn't get something, instead of coming with complaints to Hashem, say, maybe I did something wrong. If I'm not getting parnasah, maybe I did something wrong. If I can't find my other half, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Very few people are able to lower their ego and say, maybe the problem is me. Most people say the problem is there, not me. The point I want to take from that is that our life is full of disagreements. Disagreements with myself, with Hashem, and with other people. It doesn't matter who's the other people. It can be my spouse, can be my kid, can be a Jew from a different group that I don't like how he's dressed. The point is that I don't want to get into a disagreement. Right now we have an issue with somebody that did something to us, to my wife and me, and I just told my wife, just drop it. She was like, what? But you should fight to you're right. I told her, I don't care if I'm right. I'm not going to get into it. The headache of the argument, I don't want to have an argument. I rather cut my loss, say goodbye, thank you so much, go. I don't want the aggravation. I don't want the aggravation of the argument. So in essence, who wants an argument? You want to argue with your husband, you want to argue with your boss, you want to argue with your friend. No one wants, just leave me alone. That's what we read about. Nobody wants to get into arguments and to fights. But I'm pulled into these arguments, whether I want it or not. People, most of the times, others, it's very easy to, they started the argument. But I'm pulled into the argument. Now what? When I'm going to be a punching bag? I have to punch back. I have to defend myself. So nobody wants to be in an argument. But I need tools how to get away from the argument, how to get away from the disagreement. The tools are being given to me on the night of Shavuot because the Da'at Elyon, the higher level Da'at, shines and is very easily accessible and take it. So I'm able, if I tune myself in, then on the morning of Shavuot, and Alot HaShachar, I can receive 363 crowns from the Ima, from the Abba, and from the Kav HaEmtza. These crowns, just for us to relate with, is batteries. I'm buying a lot of batteries. My phone needs batteries, my remote control needs a battery, everything needs a battery. So I'm buying a lot of batteries. And these batteries would last me for the next year to be able to deal with my disagreements. My disagreements with Hashem, with the disagreements with people. And that's what I want. And that's what I want to tune into in Shavuot. So every holiday has a certain energy that I want to tune into it. This is the energy that I want to tune into in this holiday. I want to be able to derive and to enjoy this shine, this he'ara, this godly revelation, and carry it with me for the rest of the year. Last week we talked about the preparation. Now we're talking about one of the many things that can be achieved. So next Tuesday, Bezrat Hashem, this year Shavuot is Tuesday. Then if you want to stay up all night, then take a rest in the afternoon. And you're not obligated in staying up all night, women. But there's nothing wrong with that. You gain a lot out of it. If you don't want to pray, if you have a certain congregation that you pray in and don't pray it in 5 in the morning, then read Tehillim, learn a little bit of Torah, do whatever you need to do. So Bezrat Hashem, Bezrat Hashem, we should focus on what we need to do this coming Shavuot, and this should benefit us for the rest of the coming year, that we will not get into any argument. Needless to say, that if we're able to live a life without machlokot, without arguments, this is mamash redemption, this is Gula. That's why they were able to receive the Torah, because they were able to park in tribes, in a separate way, but keish echad belev echad. As one person, one heart, separated in the tribes, separated in the position. People think that the Matan Torah was like a drive-in, that there's like a screen and everybody's looking at the screen. Matan Torah was, they're all around the mountain, which means that the show was multi-dimension, because everyone who stood in front of the mountain, they stood in a diameter. They stood around the mountains. Whoever stood and watched the mountain here, somebody stood on the other side of the mountain and also watched here, like Earth. You know, Earth is a ball, but there's gravity. The ones that are on the bottom, the ones on the top, they don't fall, they don't fly up. Same thing in the mountain. Everybody was around the mountain. So they stood separately, but their hearts were together. Their mind was together. So if we get to a point that we don't have these machlokot, and our mind and soul and body is aligned, there's the izun, then I'm coming to the ultimate redemption. This is Matan Torah. Bezrat Hashem, this is what we need to focus on, that we can reach to a point that we have no disagreements, that I'm good with everybody. I'm fine with everybody. I'm parv. I'm good with you, I'm good with you, I'm good with you. I told you when we lived in California, we couldn't be picky with the shuls because we lived where we were placed. So for a few months I was praying in the Yemenite shul, a few months in the Ashkenaz shul, a few months in this shul. I was fine with everybody. In Rome you become a Roman. So you change yourself to fit everybody. The point is not to get into the machloket. And this is the night where we derive this koach, this energy. Bezrat Hashem, we should carry us for the rest of the year, and we'll be able to be keish echad velev echad, in one person, one heart, and receive the coming of Mashiach. Should happen very soon.